as a lot of you know, over the last 3 years on this platform, I should get a chip for that, like a sobriety, but more for the addiction of being on YouTube. Yay me. Hi, I'm Omegon. I'm an addict to bullshit. Over the many years, though, I have repeatedly called out injustice. I've always perceived justice to be something that should be blind, but as a lot of us know, that isn't the case, and it is frequently ignored in favour of some bias, some of which I will get to in a follow-up video, or another video entirely on a separate subject but within the ballpark of injustice. Now, one major talking point for those who are MRAs is the act of rape, in that sometimes it is not considered rape for a man to be the victim, forcible envelopment or made to penetrate being the two most common that are ignored. Now, every time I talk about injustice, or how laws are not gendered when they should be to accompany certain things that are not included, therefore making the law equal as it should be, meaning that then the subsequent punishment may or may not be doled out accurately, means that there are a number of victims that go unnoticed, or who are regularly ignored entirely because what they want is to be treated with respect, and what they get in return is the equivalent to being laughed at or ignored. There are victims everywhere for any crime, but there are some people who are victims for something that is not recognised as a crime when it should be, and as earlier stated, made to penetrate and forcible envelopment are two that should be. Whenever I've called out these injustices, when I've pointed out laws that are very biased, there's always been a law student in my comments talking to me about nuance or how law is prosecuted a certain way so it's actually equal. In my country, we have certain laws that made me think that maybe that we were going to start taking a more serious route when it came to dealing with women being the perpetrator of rape. And when I saw an article today that we're now going to be going through, I thought, maybe this happened in England, and then I realised no, it happened in Montana. Which is a shame really, because with what she did, she could have also been prosecuted for coercion, a recent law in this country. Her actions do fall into the bracket of coercive behaviour. It's also a shame that in America rape is not recognised as having men as victims for the most part, unless it's man on man, and that's only one of the many scenarios the FBI cooked up that I noticed when I last checked their website. So today we're going to be addressing an article where a woman committed an act that does fall into the bracket of what we would all consider to be rape, but of course she has not been prosecuted for that. So, a Montana woman armed with a machete has been accused of breaking into her ex-boyfriend's home, ordering him to undress and forcing him to have sex with her. I'm already uncomfortable that the article says it that way. It's rape. And with additional context, I'm sure all of you will understand my position on this. Samantha Mears has been charged with aggravated burglary and assault with a weapon, criminal mischief, assault and unlawful restraint stemming from the bizarre incident that took place on Friday in Great Falls. It's not a bizarre incident, it is a criminal act, not just in breaking into his home, not just in brandishing a weapon and forcing him to remove his clothes, lay on a bed and allowing her to ride his dick, I assume to completion no less. She has therefore taken away his agency, stripped away his dignity, and desecrated him. But of course that's not how you see it, it's bizarre. According to a criminal complaint, Mears entered the home of her ex-boyfriend on 2nd Avenue Northwest, doxed, while he was away and waited for him to return. When the man entered the residence, Mears allegedly ambushed him from behind with a machete in her hands and ordered him to take off his clothes and get on the bed, reported by KFBB. KFBB, for those who are interested, is an ABC-affiliated television station. Thought I'd just add that in there for a little information. The victim later told the police he complied with the woman's demands out of fear for his safety while she did have a machete, so that's not exactly surprising. And he said he did not feel he could retreat from the room without being harmed by Mears. Left in a situation of fight or flight, knowing that you are going to be harmed if you choose to run, you could choose to fight, but then the same dilemma presents itself. If you do not feel like you are capable of escaping safely, then of course, compliance is all that is left to you. I know someone's going to add another scenario here, but let's just go with this for now. The 19-year-old then allegedly took off her pants, while still holding the knife in her hand, straddled her ex-boyfriend and proceeded to have sex, rape him. The male victim claimed Ms. bit him on the arm and continued to rape him even after he tried to get her to stop. So he did not consent. She forced him onto the bed, inserted him into her, still held that knife in a dangerous manner so that he knew he could not escape. And even though he said no, it's still sex, and she is not being charged with what it should be, and that is rape. For the last 2 years in this country, my country that is, the United Kingdom, there have been a number of .gov petitions to try and have it so that the government would finally acknowledge forcible envelopment and made to penetrate are recognised as rape. But some people are labouring under this delusion that because a man is aroused, that is consent enough, failing to understand the vastly complex idea that a man could simply get aroused with a click of his finger. Which does not mean he has said yes. If we are to abide certain rules on consent, then both parties must be willing and must consent. What happened to this man is that he was raped. I don't know if this is a trend in the States, but your laws, after looking at your US law for sexual assault and other such sex-related crimes, the law does seem to be gender blind, but the FBI does list of scenarios. Those are gendered. And then there is the section on coercion and enticement, which is from US Code Title 18, Section 2422. Whoever knowingly persuades, entices, induces, or coerces any individual, and then it goes on to prostitution. The second section would be whoever using the mail or any facility or means of interstate or foreign commerce, blah blah blah. Unfortunately, coercion has yet to be updated to include what ours includes, and that is relationship-based manipulation. Hopefully, given time, this will change. I also hope that also in time ours will change to include sexual behaviour, because I think ours, while new, has room for improvement. Now to finish this, when police arrived, Mia's claimed that she had been kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend and that he had given her the machete for self-protection. Responding officers made note that the female suspect appeared to be suffering from a mental health problem and was in a confused state. The incident comes just days after the 19-year-old had been arrested for allegedly assaulting and strangling her ex. The pair had been together for about 7 years prior to their split. Well, 7 years would mean she was 12. I'm not going to include the early teenage years as much of a relationship. But I do want to linger on one thing, because this seems to be a growing trend whenever a woman does something truly heinous. It always seems to be a mental health problem. It has become the scapegoat for excuses, and I find it to be truly unacceptable that it seems to be that as a scapegoat. Chances are the best she'll get is a suspended sentence and some community service. Granted, she is booked on a $50,000 bond in order to stay away from her ex-boyfriend, but that doesn't mean she will. It also does not mean that she will not do this again in the future. Creatures of habit after all. And let's face it, once an abuser, always an abuser. People can talk about reform as much as they want, but once you, at even such a young age, have shown yourself to be truly brutal, I find it very difficult to believe, even if you were not someone with mental health problems, that you could ever truly change. I hope Montana and many other states understand that this is not a case of only burglary, breaking and entering and brandishing a weapon. This is also a sexual assault, and I would urge anyone who lives in Montana to contact their Congress member and try and get something to happen here, because this is silly. That all aside, later on today, I will be doing a full response to Prime Minister's questions on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show, which is my second channel, and I do this every Thursday now. So if you are at all interested in listening to me bleat on for an hour about UK politics, which I believe this week will involve Brexit, bitching, and what was the other subject? Nope, just those two. It was quite tedious, but I will try to make it interesting nonetheless. Oh no, I know what the other subject would be. Taking a shot at Jacob Rees-Mogg. Someone did that. Jeremy Corbyn actually did that. So yes, I hope everyone has a lovely Thursday, and thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddowns.
Imagine my shock